Do you know why the phoenix sits on the right hand of the emperor? She is his guardian.
This is Jackson Worley with Bengal Productions, and today I would like to do a little bit different of a video. I have noticed that nowadays there are no good movie reviews. There are phenomenal film critics, but there are no good reviews. You see, many people say, I'm going to review this film, and they go in thinking, I'm going to critique this film. And then they make a video, or they write a blog, or they write a news article about all the critiques they had about the film without talking about the story, or why it was good, or why it was enjoyable. And they spend their entire time talking about why it was bad and why they didn't like it. You see, I think a lot of the people who do film reviews go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to have to think about what's wrong with it. I'm going to point out what's wrong with it. And this was, I noticed this was kind of a problem several years ago, but recently Disney has created a film that I believe to be one of Disney's best live-action films that they've made, apart from the last 20 minutes of Rogue One. But especially with the Disney princesses, Aladdin was really good. There were some things that I didn't like about it, but I enjoyed watching it. It was a good movie. And, it got a lot of hate and it got a lot of love. Because of COVID-19, I think a lot of people were really upset to begin with about the nature of the release of the Mulan 2020 movie that was put on Disney Plus for premiere access for $30 or $29.99. And to give you a little bit of background and some context, I love Mulan. I love the Ballad of Mulan. I love the ballet Mulan, and I love the 1990s cartoon version of Mulan, which was probably the most different, the most set aside from all of the versions of Mulan that exist. And so I was extremely excited to see this new live-action movie, which was supposed to come out in, I think, March, and it got pushed back, and then it got pushed back again, and then it got pushed back again, and I was really sad. So when they said they were releasing it on Disney Plus, I bought it the day it came out, and the very next day, I sat down and I watched it, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, there were some things that I didn't like about it. However, the movie still made me cry twice. So, I loved it. I give it 9 stars out of 10. Here's why. Because having read the traditional Ballad of Hua Mulan, I actually haven't read the entire thing, mostly because I think the English translation is a little bit too direct, and my Mandarin isn't good enough for me to actually be able to read it in Chinese yet. So I've sort of read the original epic poem of ancient China, the Ballad of Hua Mulan, which did not have any songs sung, which did not have any kind of happy romantic ending to it. As a matter of fact, in the original Ballad of Hua Mulan, she does not show up to army camp and fumble around and fail and have to learn how to be a man. As a matter of fact, she has been studying Tai Chi her entire life. And so in the original tale, she shows up to camp and just starts whooping people right and left. With that kind of prelude, I would like to get into my personal film review, not critique, of Mulan 2020. So I'm actually going to do this with no spoilers. I'm going to try not to spoil the film. I'm going to try not to say anything that you wouldn't know unless you've seen the movie. So if you've seen the trailer, I may be spoiling things from the trailer, but I'm going to try not to spoil the movie itself. So first and foremost, $30. That's we're going to hit that straight on right at the beginning. $30 is a lot of money. However, how much would you be paying if you went and saw this in movie theaters? So let's say myself, I take my girlfriend out to see the Ballad of Hua Mulan, or I guess I take her out to see this film in my local theater just down the street. It's going to be $10 to $15 a ticket. So bam, $30 right off the bat for me and my date to see the movie at a movie theater. Now, let's say I was a father and I had 3 children. And let's price each of these children's movie tickets at $7 or $6. Okay? So that's going to be $18 for my children. And then we'll price it in between 10 and 15, let's say 12 for me and my wife each. So that's another 24. So we're looking at almost, we're approaching $40 to $50 before popcorn and candy, which I'm going to have children, and me myself, I love popcorn, especially movie popcorn. So we're going to call my whole family trip to see Mulan in theaters $65. So for $65, and maybe you live in a cheaper area where things aren't as expensive and food tax isn't a thing, so let's take it down. Let's call it $60. Me and my family can see Mulan for $60 in theaters. Well, because of Disney Plus, me and my family can now watch Mulan for $30. That's half off. So personally, I think $30 is a very reasonable price. I think people would have still purchased it had they charged $40, but I'm glad they didn't. So there's that. Okay, so price, we got that out of the way. Secondly, the character, Mulan. She is very, very similarly constructed, this character, after the original tale of the Ballad of Hua Mulan. Now, I say that because she was already strong. She had nothing to learn, but she needed to unlearn some things. And not that she didn't have anything to learn, but that the things she learned weren't about how to fulfill a male role. That she knew. She knew who she was, and she knew who she wanted to be. And something else I'd like to point out is she wanted to fulfill a male role. She did not want to become a male. A little bit of a difference there. There are some people who don't necessarily want to fulfill the role, but they want to be a male, and that's fine. That's on them. But the character Mulan wanted to be a female, and she wanted to take on the role of a male for one very, very important purpose, which I think most film critics have not touched on, and that is family devotion. Personally, this is my own personal opinion, I think devotion to your family is the number one most important thing that ever will exist. Period. I think couples who are married should make their spouse, their significant other, their number one priority for all time and eternity. I just believe that. I think marriage is a forever thing, and it would pain me to see a family break up because the father and the mother, or whoever you are in the relationship, fails to respect, with gentlemanly and ladylike respect, one another. And I think Mulan, being the firstborn daughter to her father, does that very well. She shows respect to her mother and her father and her sister. Yes, in the movie she has a sister. In the original Ballad of Hua Mulan, she has a little brother. And as a matter of fact, that is why they named the dog in the 1990s cartoon version of Mulan. That's why they named her dog Little Brother. Fun fact. But I think her devotion to her family is a very, very key element in this film. And it's one that's far overlooked because we're too focused on, I think other people are too focused on Mulan's character herself. Now, she's got a couple of flaws, but she's not a flawed character. She knows what's up. She knows what she needs to do, and she knows how to do it. Her struggle in this film is overcoming the suppression and the oppression of you're not allowed to be who you want to be because of this social construct that we have. Her challenge isn't to become a man. Her challenge is to overcome that oppression and that suppression. And the film does that very, very well. There's actually a scene where she's laying there and she just realizes, okay, I'm done pretending. I'm going to be myself and I'm going to do it right. And they play the music and it's epic, and I cried. It was the second time I cried in the film. So I hope that's not too big of a spoiler. I even said I wasn't going to spoil. So anyway, the film was phenomenal. Color. It was very visually pleasing. The aesthetic was a lot of tans, a lot of greens, but so it was a very lush film. But then you have the harsh red color, the passionate color of red that is being worn by Mulan and by the Chinese garrison soldiers. The red is such a vibrant red. There's not a whole lot of deep reds. It's a very poppy blood color red. And there was also gold. Gold was another color I noticed, which I believe in the movie symbolized royalty and wealth. I think they did a really good job paying tribute in this film to the 1990s version. There was a lot of little hidden dragon sculptures paying homage, or I guess tribute, to Mushu, who is not in the film. And you know, there was a lot of really cool things like that. I think another really, really great thing is this movie could have been gory as heck, but it wasn't. As a matter of fact, anytime there was blood on the screen, it was just off the screen. And they didn't really add a whole lot of blood to the swords. I'm sure they did, but it wasn't noticeable enough for me to go, oh, that's nasty. Her sword is covered in that guy's blood. There was none of that. And so it's very family friendly. One other thing I would like to mention is that I think a lot of film critics wanted to see, and I think the public in general, they wanted to see the 1990s cartoon version of Mulan more than they wanted to see a good story. And the issue with that is, if anybody's ever seen the live-action Lion King, it was so similar to the original cartoon version that, as a matter of fact, I found it well done, but rather unenjoyable because it was too similar to the cartoon. And I feel like if Disney had gone the route of making this too similar to the cartoon movie version of Mulan, it would not have done well at all. I'm actually genuinely glad they did not sing the songs. I'm glad they didn't put in Mushu. That would have been a lot of CGI, and this is just my own personal opinion. I think CGI is getting worse, and there's plenty of evidence of that, but that's an argument for a different day. So I'm glad there was no Mushu. I'm glad there was no songs, because those are the reasons that I loved the original 1990 Disney version of Mulan. This version is different from that, and so it's a different story, and I really appreciated that and think other people will eventually. It seems to me that the general public kind of a lot of the complaints I've heard is that they wished it sang, or they wished Mushu was in it. Or I personally, I don't think the film would have been good with those things.
The other thing I'd really like to point out that I loved about this film is it gives the Asian population throughout the world a hero. We have plenty of male Asian heroes nowadays. Recently, we didn't used to. 10 years ago, there was no Crazy Rich Asians. There was no blind character in Rogue One. There was no, I mean, we had Bruce Lee and we had like Ip Man. And I mean, even Kill Bill is about a white girl. So Asians have never really had that, that character, in my opinion, especially in America, in the Western world. The Asian population hasn't had that character that they can look up to and connect with, especially female Asians. I think Hollywood is very stereotypical, and they're just recently breaking out of that. So imagine for a minute that you're one of the thousands of young Asian girls that now have a female Asian hero. Another thing that I think is really important to notice is the 3 virtues that are listed on Mulan's sword is throughout the film, she achieves each of them individually. And the first 2 are kind of a given. She is very loyal, she's very brave, but she's kind of lying to herself by this suppression, by this oppression, by hiding who she really is. Not who she's trying to become, but who she really is. And by the end of the film, she's able to overcome that, and she is true in that sense. So for many other reasons, which I won't name here because of the length of this video, I thought the film was absolutely phenomenal. And I think that the United States, I feel like sometimes we're unsatisfied and we don't appreciate things. We're always looking for ways that it could have been better or that it could have improved. I feel like a lot of us went into this film and go into films thinking like this. We sit down and we watch the film and we're like, I'm not going to enjoy this. And we start pointing out things we didn't like about it when that's not the point. The point of a film is to tell a story. And I personally think Mulan 2020 by Disney is a really, really good and enjoyable story. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you agreed with anything that I said in this video, share it. And let's see if we can't overcome the negativity of this good film that had flaws, but overall really good film. Let's see if we can't overcome that by sharing this video, giving it a like, posting it on Facebook. Worst thing people could do is not watch it. Who cares? Just give it a share, and that way everyone can have the opportunity to see at least one good review. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time on Bagel Production.
When they find out who you are, they will show you no mercy. I'm Hua Mulan. I will bring honor to us all.